Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Here we have a great example of a swing and a miss. From the Metro, a gender pay gap exists in anonymous online gig economy marketplaces. So it's anonymous, so what are they going to be saying? That, well, seeing as it's anonymous, it can't be on sexism. Therefore, there must be some sort of difference then between the sexes that we haven't accounted for, which isn't sexist at all, and actually it's just differences in traits between men and women, which must therefore mean that biological sex is actually real and has demonstrable effects on men and women, making women more agreeable and less likely to go for gigs that give more money and less likely to demand to be paid more, even if it's for the same job. And because people think that if they pay more, they get a better service, they're willing to pay more for the same service because they think it's better. No, of course, of course they're not going to go for that. Now, as we will read on to find out, they're saying, well, women have grown up with institutionalized sexism, because they love that phrase, and therefore because they've had to battle through this slog all their life, and that's all they've been told the whole time, and being put down for being women, that then they just don't value themselves. They don't have the self-esteem that the men do, and therefore it doesn't disprove sexism in the workplace. No. In fact, it proves that sexism happens throughout and isn't just in the workplace. So then you might be thinking, so you're suggesting that only women are put down and men aren't? Because what I would read from that, seeing as men are disproportionately committing much more suicide than women, sorry to take it dark, but I think it's worthwhile for these snivelling weasels, that it would suggest to me that people get put down. If you go by suicide, you'd say men more than women, and most people who get put down and reprimanded like this can't take it. They tap out. They go, hey, too much stress, I'm not going to take it. Some try to persevere. They can't catch a break and they kill themselves, majority of which are men. Some keep persevering. They push through all the rejections, all the negativities, and actually make it through the other side, because the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory, and they end up being immensely successful. And they also seem to be men. So it seems as if the ones that persevere the most are men, and also the ones that are pushed down the most are men. Hence you've got them making up most of the suicides and also most of the top earners. Whereas women, just tends to be more apathy from both sides, saying, yeah, probably not. And then the women going, yeah, you're probably right. And that's it. Instead of going to men, hey, you utter shit, you deserve nothing. The response being, yeah, you're right, I am worthless and nobody loves me, and I should probably just kill myself. Or to say, how about fuck you? How about the best revenge is massive success, and I'm going to prove you wrong. Just you wait, I will prove you wrong. Of course, it's the same mentality that can cause mass killings, but we're trying to focus on the positives here. So academics have discovered a gender pay gap in online marketplaces where workers do not reveal their gender. A team from Columbia University found that women's hourly earnings were 10% below men's in one sector of the gig economy, in which job seekers take up casual short-term employment. They analysed data from the Amazon Mechanical Turk, MTurk platform, an online service that connects employees to workers who perform human intelligence tasks. Researchers crunched data relating to 20,000 men and women who completed 5 million tasks. So this is a very substantial sample size. And I think it's also worth noting that Dr. John B. Peterson, of course, mentioned that women are more agreeable than men, or men are more disagreeable than women. And in his clinical practice, once he encouraged women to come in and say, hey, maybe you could actually get paid more if you were more disagreeable and reasoned your way to a better wage, then they would. They can double their wage in 3 years. In which case, they'd then be overcompensating for the 10% gender pay gap, or even 27%, whatever it is you want to say, because they'd be besting a 50% gender pay gap. So yes, they can definitely overcome it by just developing those traits. It's nothing to do with how skilled they are. That's not the argument I'm making at all. I'm saying it's a difference in character traits, that women would like to please people more, whereas men more domineering. Which is also necessary for protecting women, of course, because then you're fighting off attackers, whether that be different species or just foreign threats of people. So the study was hailed as the first to prove that pay gaps can arise despite the absence of overt discrimination, labour segregation, and inflexible work arrangements. Good. So this is fun. Our goal was to examine a highly unique labour environment characterised by factors that should make this labour market relatively immune to the emergence of a gender pay gap. Nevertheless, our results showed evidence of a gender wage gap not fully accounted for by such factors as task heterogeneity, experience, and task completion speed. The study represents an important and novel contribution to the literature on the gender pay gap. This all still sounds rather neutral. Future research should explore the observed gender pay gap in this niche of the gig economy and seek to understand how it may both reflect broader gender inequalities and point to opportunities for structural remedies. We're getting to the boundary there of where you're saying people should step in and force people to comply, especially given that got the Metro stepping in here. The team was not able to unequivocally blame sexism for the pay gap because workers are able to withhold their personal information and remain anonymous, meaning employers did not know their gender. So to get back to quoting, due to factors that are unique to the Mechanical Turk online marketplace, such as anonymity, self-selection into tasks, the relative homogeneity of the tasks performed, and flexible work scheduling, we did not expect earnings to differ by gender on this platform. Good. Going in with a null hypothesis. That is brilliant. Where you don't expect there to be a difference, you want to disprove that. However, contrary to our expectations, a robust and persistent gender pay gap was observed. If it's more than 1 in 20 or 5%, that's the p-value, then it's more than likely it's substantial and didn't happen by chance. The team poured over data relating to 5 million tasks, basically half by men, half by women, by 20,000 people, half men, half women. Great, over 18 months, 1.5 years, good job. And the pay gap appears to have been caused by women choosing jobs which have a lower hourly rate of pay, the academic suggested. So it is essentially just women choosing to get paid less. Probably less stressful as well. So that's fine. Job done. Hey, women, if you want to earn more, just ask for more and go for it. But, oh no, because Leib Lippman, PhD, co-author and associate professor at Truro College, said experiences of discrimination may be to blame. Yes, even when it isn't there, they will find a way to make it there. So what's their excuse this time? Women may select a lower paying task because cumulative experience of pervasive discrimination led women to undervalue their labour, he said. And there it is. There it is. We were waiting for the feminism to seep in. We were waiting for them to say it's institutionalized sexism, misogyny, whatever you want to throw at it. And there we go. You can't blame the women. You can't think the women have personal autonomy and can actually decide for themselves and their own value and put forward something that they think reflects themselves well. No. It's clearly just they're so influenced by their surrounding factors and they just get so affected by what other people say that we've clearly got to change everyone's behaviour instead of suggesting that people should be more resilient, and if they're not, then they probably will not do well in a high-stress job. Because, hey, you can't change everybody, and you can't change something like environmental factors. I'd like saying that, if you shout at a tree, it ain't going to fall over. You actually got to get in and start chopping it down. You got to get the chainsaw, if you will. But for these people, they think, you can just complain and say things and then someone else will step in and do it for you. It's like, yeah, but sometimes you can't. And it's in those situations where you would think, I'll go off to authority, the appeal to authority fallacy. I'll try and get someone else involved and, hey, I'll be a bit sad and cry and try to win them over with sympathy. That it ain't gonna budge because all the real world cares about is logic. And I don't mean real world as in interaction with the people, I mean nature. That it just cares about logic because it doesn't have emotions. And so there'll be times when, even if you try and say that women can do it and, they're going to have more support than anyone else, that nature will be unforgiving. And it's at those times when men will, unfortunately for these people, actually work through the pushback and be able to push back against the pushback, fight through, persevere, and get the higher achievements because we're more disagreeable. It's as simple as that. But You can't expect that. We got to think that women can't think for themselves, of course, because that's a nicer way to view it. Okay. So in turn, women's experiences with earning lower pay compared to men on traditional labour markets may lower women's pay expectations on gig economy markets. Therefore, consistent with these lowered expectations, women may be more likely than men to settle for lower paying tasks. Unless they have other things paid for them, in which case they don't need to earn as much to pay as many bills, in which case they can undercut their competitors, work longer hours and get paid more in total, even though it's less on it's less on each job, but it's more overall because they're completing more jobs. It could be that if they were thinking more savvy, but no, because the woman's got to be the victim. But hey, I thought that might be of interest to you folks as well, seeing if there's another study, and it's so intriguing how you can draw two totally different conclusions, because you can say that it's clearly women who have been suffering all this time, and even now that they're choosing to be paid less, it's clearly just showing that they've been suffering so long. Or you can choose facts. So hey, until next time, have a good one.